Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the C Block or final section of Cannabis Coast to Coast News. I'm Alaina Pinto. Final reminder to download our free app at Google Play or the App Store. You can scan the QR code and it will take you right there. If you search it, just don't forget to put a space between the PCM and TV. While you're at it, have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet? Pro Cannabis Media is still the name of the channel, but we are rebranding to WPCM TV, and we are only 68 away from 16,000. So please subscribe. Everyone here, thanks for your support. We love you. One of our correspondents is one of the biggest pro cannabis media personalities in Alabama. It's Jennifer Boozer. She hosts a radio show every Monday night called Sweet Home Canna Bama on 105.6 FM. And she too has a YouTube channel by that same name. She's been featured in Dr. Bridget Williams' Courage in Cannabis book series, and she owned her own hemp and CBD store before a law changed in her state, and that's when she had to shut it down. That state has been a tad dysfunctional over the past 4 years since their medical program was supposed to start. But amazingly, they still have yet to give out one license, as the process was held up for years with legal proceedings and lawsuits. In the meantime, Jennifer continues to wave the pro-cannabis flag in her home state. Here's her update on her beloved home state of Alabama.
I'm Jennifer Boozer, reporting from Alabama for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. More arrests in the state of Alabama. Jimmy Eugene McDowell Jr., a 68-year-old man from Jefferson County, think Birmingham, was charged with drug trafficking. A tip was called into law enforcement and drone footage was used to see that he had 26 cannabis plants growing on his property. He was arrested and given a $500,000 bond and bailed out on July 31st. Let's compare that to another arrest in Jefferson County this week. A woman working for DHR was arrested. She left a 3-year-old boy in the back seat of her vehicle in front of her home for over 5 hours after forgetting he was there. And sadly, the little boy died. She was given a $30,000 bond. The state of Alabama has decimated the industrial hemp industry with HB 445 shuttering businesses and making citizens into felons, all under the banner of Save the Children, while children all over Alabama are being abused, trafficked, and yes, killed, and no one's protecting them. We're going to unpack these things on Sweet Home Canna Bama this Monday night at 7 o'clock. You can join us on FM Talk 106.5 every week, and you can watch us live from the Sweet Home Canna Bama YouTube page. This week, we're speaking to Joe Hickey Sr. and comparing how hemp and tobacco are regulated by the federal government. Stay tuned. I'm Jennifer Boozer Stewart, reporting from Alabama for Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
And here's what's happening in New Jersey's cannabis scene. Well, we're following up on an earlier report about New Jersey officially endorsing their cannabis consumption lounges, giving adults a place to actually consume and enjoy their purchases. The first approvals went out to Sunny Tian and High Rollers, both in Atlantic City, and Ginseng Dispensary located in Mercantville. And Ginseng actually opened its doors early in July 23rd. And just a reminder, everyone must be 21, of course. And for a medical patient, you have kind of lucked out. You can actually bring your own product to the two dispensaries, High Rollers and Sunny Tian, and in Atlantic City, and you'll only get charged a $5 fee at High Rollers for bringing your own products. Now, heading up the turnpike, two women-owned businesses I wanted to tell you about. Butter Cake, owned by founder and CEO Martha Figaro, is actually taking on investors now. So if you ever wanted to get into the cannabis industry, now's a great time to reach out to them on their social media platforms for more information. And welcome to the neighborhood, Lady L Dispensary, a new woman-owned dispensary in Jersey City on the west side at 547 West Side Avenue. Has their grand opening coming up in September, soft opening going on now. There's plenty to enjoy there besides the beautiful art decorated space. And you've got delivery, you've got a host of great product selections there. And so I hope to see you there. I'm Jill with the New Jersey Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
In many states that are just opening their medical or adult use sales, two things happen on a regular basis. First, emergency room visits increase more, and most state regulations and social media censorship will not allow any educational messages that are positive about the plant to share content on their site. But the second thing that has happened far too often is bad actors who use predatory business practices to take advantage of the licensing process. It happened in Fall River, Massachusetts, when the mayor there ended up going to federal jail on bribery and fraud charges. But now in Connecticut, the Attorney General, William Tong, has filed a $2.5 million lawsuit against, quote, Make CT Better LLC. The AG is alleging that the two owners, Michael Tedesco of Fairfield and Zafir Iqbal of Hartford, promised to deliver cannabis licenses, but they did so with forged documents. These guys scammed 70 businesses out of $25,000 to $30,000 in fees each, with promises to ease access to the licensing process in that relatively new adult use state. No such issue in Maryland, at least as of yet. Here's Christopher Bright with our Maryland Cannabis Report.
I'm Christopher Bright from the Enlightened Voice. Welcome to Cannabis Coast to Coast News. I'll be bringing you the latest cannabis headlines from Maryland. In Cumberland, Maryland, workers at the Apothecarium, a dispensary owned by TerrAscend, are raising alarms after exposure to paint fumes caused serious health issues. Employees reported headaches, nausea, and dizziness, and also vomiting after painting occurred without proper ventilation or prior notice. Many were unable to finish their shifts or return to work, forced to use personal paid time off to recover. Complaints have been filed with Maryland and federal OSHA, triggering an active investigation. Workers have also contacted elected officials and workers' comp lawyers. Safety data sheets requesting during the initial July 2nd incident weren't provided until late July, despite legal requirements. A union air quality monitor later detected high levels of harmful compounds during a second painting incident on July 1st, which the company disputed. Amid an ongoing labor dispute, UFCW Local 27, representing the workers, demands a halt to indoor chemical use without third-party clearance, restoration of used PTO, and immediate contract negotiations. And now we have our content creator of the week. I would like to shine a spotlight on Sunny from Strain Chaser Sunny. His reviews of Maryland cannabis product is both informative and entertaining. One of the most consistent reviewers. When he is alone, he's funny, but when his friends join in, it's a great time. Check him out on his IG or YouTube at Strain Chaser Sunny. And that's all for this week's Maryland Cannabis Report. I'm Christopher Bright from the Enlightened Voice, reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mark Allen, the Chicago Clone Guy, reporting from just outside of Chicago, Illinois, for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Thanks for tuning in. This is Bird. Always something going on here in Chicagoland. Apparently, there's going to be a new dispensary being opened up by 10 retired cops. Yep, 10 retired cops came up with, about $6 to $10 million to sell drugs through now. So they spent decades throwing people in jail for weed, and now they're going to make money off of it. That's great. But hey, that's business. That's how it goes here, anywhere. Other news that I find very interesting is that there are outdoor grows going on commercially, outdoor cannabis grows in Illinois. But there's only been 2, but now there's going to be 3. But the problem is the state is trying to shut down the third outdoor grow, pretty much citing the fact that they can't conform to keeping the facility locked up and protected and enclosed. So that company is Curaleaf. So Curaleaf is now suing the state of Illinois, the Illinois Department of Agriculture, just like Green Thumb Industries and Nature's Grace and Wellness did to keep their outdoor grows, and they're pretty much in hoop houses, kind of like a screen tent is what they're calling them. But Curaleaf is suing the state of Illinois to grow outdoor. Another interesting aspect of this, the state required Green Thumb Industries and Nature's Grace and Wellness to get hemp permits to grow outdoor weed. Very interesting to know that, because I am a hemp farmer also trying to figure this out. So Illinois is getting sued now for letting some people do the same things they're not going to let other people do. But it looks like the path is kind of clear now. Things are opening up. Maybe I'll be reporting on my outdoor cannabis grow soon. Time will tell. But I am Mark Allen, the Chicago clone guy, reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Thanks for tuning in.
Now let's go to the left coast in Washington state, where they are finally getting around to allowing their dispensaries the opportunity to use debit cards inside their legally licensed stores. Here's Matthew Friedlander with more.
I'm Matthew Friedlander with Sketch Organics, coming to you with the Washington State Cannabis Report, Cannabis Coast to Coast. I am reporting today from the Minority Cannabis Business Association's Equity Workshop Tour. I am down in Seattle. We are being hosted at the Somal Credit Union headquarters. They are one of the few banks here in Washington State that will do business with the cannabis industry. Access to capital and banking is obviously a huge issue for every cannabis business here in Connecticut. It was a great conversation today, especially good to hear from some voices that we don't normally hear from. News perspectives are always good, and today's topic was about the economics of cannabis. In particular, how this affects minority cannabis-owned businesses and the new equity licensings that are coming online in many states across the nation. Here in Washington, we have a new round of equity retail licenses coming out in the process right now. So, again, great conversation to have. Great group of people. Always love getting together with our cannabis community here in Washington State. So that's what I've got for you this week out of Washington. This is Matthew reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
I'm Marianne from Alibi with the Oregon Cannabis Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Many of Oregon's cannabis businesses are struggling with unpaid receivables. The OLCC, our regulators, have steadfastly refused to intervene, saying that they don't want to have anything to do with licensee-to-licensee disputes. This has created challenges as licenses are often transferred or sold and the debt's not resolved with the sale. There have been instances where unscrupulous operators will transfer their license to a family member just to get out of paying off the debts. The regulators and the legislature are now open to working on this issue. Licensees and the Oregon Cannabis Trade Association, CHOW, are now developing plans and brainstorming ideas around a solution. Stay tuned as this progresses. I'm hoping for a solution that will help licensees and all related businesses. That's the Oregon Cannabis Report. I'm Marianne from Alibi with Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
The state of Kentucky has started to grow cannabis for sale in its new medical program. Half plants arrived in greenhouses last week, and now regulators are predicting that the market could open as soon as October. With more from her home state, here's Robin Alford.
I am Robin Alford reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News, coming to you with the Kentucky Cannabis Report. Governor Andy Beshear sent a letter to Donald Trump to finish rescheduling what President Biden had gotten started. And we are hoping that when Governor Beshear is turned out, that he will run for president. I sent him a letter to encourage him to do that. I'm hoping he will. And there will be a dispensary opening in Ohio County in Beaver Dam. That is a area that I know very well, Paul. Yeah. And they will open on North Main Street in Beaver Dam, and it will be this fall when they do that. And they're probably shooting for November, hopefully. And that will be it. And this is Robin Alford coming at you with the Cannabis Coast to Coast News, reporting for Kentucky.
I'm Christina Brisson with Over the Top Renovations with your weekly Ohio Cannabis Report with Cannabis Coast to Coast News. As you know, things have stalled the last few weeks here in the government before they went on their summer break, but I'm happy to say that Representatives Callender and Fisher have been going against their party and standing up for what voters approved initially with Issue 2. Fisher has been known to say that thumbing the nose at voters is absolutely a non-starter, and Callender has said he'd rather take 6 months to get it right. Additionally, as all this is going on, we still have 135 cities that have a ban or moratorium against adult use cannabis. So let's hope this is all going to change. Everybody speak up, go to events, say what you mean, and thank you, Ohio. This is Christina Brisson with Over the Top Renovations with your weekly Ohio Cannabis Report with Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
We have a new reporter from one of the newest states to pass adult use, Minnesota. Alysha Bellamy from Herbs and Herbs is going to be reporting from that new state, and she is hoping to get her license in the next few months. Here's Alysha.
I am Alysha Bellamy for Minnesota Cannabis News Report. I am a lucky recipient of my preliminary pre-approval for a micro cannabis license. I have 18 months to get it on and get going. I am so happy to be able to start a dispensary in my home state of Minnesota. I love Minnesota, and I can't wait to be able to give you guys premium products and to make my own edibles. On July 22nd, we had 569 applicants apply for their retail license, and 75 lucky lottery winners won, which is the first step for adult use cannabis dispensaries across the state of Minnesota. Also on August 1st, we have an event license open for applications. And with that, people that want to have cannabis events can start having their events through the OCM. Also, the testing facilities are open for applications. I am Alysha Bellamy, reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
And finally tonight, there's a saying from the 20th century. There's nothing like going to a Grateful Dead concert. The San Francisco-born rock band led by the late legendary Jerry Garcia has always been associated with the counterculture of the 60s. This weekend, they celebrate their 60th anniversary in San Francisco, where it all began. And now that some members of that band have passed on, originals like Bob Weir and Mickey Hart carry on as a group called Dead Again. John Mayer has joined them on a first guitar, and this coming weekend, the 60th anniversary festival will be allowing sales and consumption of cannabis, legal for adults over 21. So, despite the smell and consumption of cannabis has always been part of the Dead experience, this weekend it will all be legal. Of course, with 3-day tickets going for over $600, you might need to catch a buzz to just enjoy the ride and the vibe. All right, that's this week's Cannabis Coast to Coast News. I'm Alaina Pinto. Remember, it's a whole new world of weed out there, so consume it responsibly, and we will see you next time.
I think I messed up. Did you know there's a place that covers all the cannabis news you need? Pro Cannabis Media is now WPCM TV, your go-to website for things cannabis. WPCM TV is the CNBC of weed, bringing you the latest news you need.
Amy Carter. This week, she reports from inside the State House in Lansing.
I'm Amy Carter from Michigan Weedsters with this week's Michigan Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
And talk shows about all things cannabis.
Well, thank you, and thank you for all you're doing to get the word out. Like, this show is so important.
It all started back in 2018 when Emmy award-winning talk show host Jimmy Young kicked it off with the In the Weeds podcast.
That it's not just any generic paper towel. You do have a brand that you use, right?
Yeah, we live or die by the bounty. I mean...
the quicker picker-upper! I love that!
His mission? Building an army of multimedia journalists and podcast hosts who are documenting the fight to end cannabis prohibition in this country and around the world. Fast forward to today, and we've got the nation's only weekly cannabis coast-to-coast news program with Alaina Pinto.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Cannabis Coast to Coast News, WPCM TV's weekly production of the fight to end cannabis prohibition in this country and around the world. I'm Alaina Pinto.
Delivering the nation's only TV news-style program. Since June 2021, WPCM TV has racked up over 1.3 million views with 17 million impressions and picked up over 16,000 subscribers on YouTube alone. Now we even have our own app. For more information, contact the team at WPCMTV.com